Hello, good evening, people. Good evening, Rivers. Your host, Dr. Purnima Kulkarni, is back with Boggling Conversations. I know we are living in these devastating times, and these vicissitudes of life are meant to make us better and stronger. In order to bring some positive energy, I have with me a very, very significant person who's made a significant change in my life, Miss Sesh Rao. Can we have Miss Sesh Rao on screen, please?
Hi, good
Sesh,
evening, everyone.
hello. How have you been, Sesh? How
Really
have you
good,
been?
really good.
It is said
um,
there's a poet called Mr. P.B. Shelley
yeah,
who wrote in Romantic Age, and he
I
said,
know.
"We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter is with some pain fraught, and our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts." I think these trials and tribulations that we are going through, the Ravan that we are combating today, Ravan called COVID-19 that we are combating today, is a horrendous enemy. But I'm sure if we believe, if we have an unmitigated faith in the power of positive thinking, we will be able to battle this disease and this too shall pass. What do you have to say, Shesh?
Well, yes, I'm an optimist, and I believe that we'll all get through these difficult times. And there's
Correct.
always a rainbow in the sky, there's no doubt about it. Only it's evading us at the moment, but I'm sure, as there is a beautiful sentence, my heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky.
In the
This was an
sky. That's Wordsworth. Yes.
Yeah, right. And he's my favorite poet.
Correct.
So that's what had happened.
Yes.
So I'm an optimist. I'm sure we'll all come out of it.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate your positive bent of mind. Oh my God. So many viewers have joined us. And let me introduce the guest to the viewers today. Sesh is not only my bosom friend, she is a very good Samaritan. She's a philanthropist. She reaches out to the unfortunate lot of poor people, underprivileged children. She empowers women, and she is closely associated with the NGO Spectrum. They're doing some phenomenal work. Could you tell us a little bit about Spectrum, Sesh?
Spectrum is almost 30 years old now. It was
Okay,
started by a lady called Nirmala Agarwal, who lives in Sin
right.
Society, Pune. And it's very interesting. She had finished her graduation after she got married.
Correct.
She told her husband she wants to do her post graduation. He said, of course you can do it, but if you instead start an organization, which is a study group, hundreds of women will be educated, whereas if you do your post graduation, you alone will be educated. So with this, she
Wow,
started.
very well said.
I tell you. So the husband encouraged her to start this organization. And Sabina Sangvi, I think you must have heard
Right.
about Sabina. So
Yes, yes, absolutely. I do.
she and another 10, 15 ladies got together and called it Spectrum. And it's a women's study group which has
It's a
evolved.
women's
And
studies group.
yeah, and we have anyone who is who in India and outside have come and addressed us in Spectrum on different subjects. We have subgroups.
Great.
If you have a if you have a special interest, of course you'll get into that particular group also. And then about 10 years back, we started Spectrum Ahead and Spectrum NGO. So NGO
All
continued
right.
with reaching out to society work, where I have been.
Right.
I'm passionate about it, to be honest with you. And
Excellent,
Spectrum,
excellent. I know you're quite passionate about your social work, your charitable work, and you are also into the singles organization. And I'm so proud that you actually, I wanted to share something with the viewers as well as you. As many as 33 people, 33% of people asked for reservation in parliament. But there is a group of people getting estranged from the mainstream of the society. And they are singles, widows, widowers, transgenders, and a lot of people who are not accepted in the mainstream of the society, unfortunately. And I think it's high time that we reach out to them, because today's topic is challenges of being single. And I don't think this issue is addressed very often. So, Shesh, madam, I'm going to ask you some questions pertaining to the singles issues. I hope
Okay.
you are ready. I hope you answer these questions so that the viewers get a sneak peek, and they also develop an insight into the subject, because the purpose is to familiarize them with something that is happening in the society. It's morbid,
Yeah.
it's sordid, it's unpleasant, and we need to do something about it strongly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my first question to you is, what are the various psychological, mental, and emotional issues faced by singles?
You see, I think we have to. This is a rather a very long question, and the answer really
Yes,
cannot be too long on this forum. But I would just like to
yes,
mention a
yes,
few things. You see, people, we are gregarious by nature. And if we look
yes.
at the world all over society, we want people around us. We want to uh, convey our emotions, happiness, sorrow, anger, whatever we emote, we would like
Catharsis,
to spread. Yeah.
catharsis. Yeah.
And a catharsis is a very healthy thing, but we don't do it, unfortunately. We go into a depression, and or we take to drugs, we take to so many things which are undesirable, and then they get psychologically impaired for life, whether it is men or
Absolutely.
women. So you see, depression is a terrible thing, and our actors and actresses come out with, oh, how did I get out of the depression, why did I get, but is it a man woman relationship which really leads to a depression? I'm not very
Mm,
sure, because you see,
correct.
human beings are emotional. But
Yes.
men have been deprived this prerogative, because socially we always say to a little boy, "You're crying, boys don't cry." And
Because they're
this leads,
socially conditioned into not crying. Yes, yes.
exactly. And so you say, Raja beta rota nahi hai, mera Raja beta. Arey, aap to bete ho na.
हाँ,
So this
आप
is,
लड़की नहीं हो. हाँ.
so the privilege of crying ladki ka hai, and of being bold ladke ka hai. But here I'd like to
Gender
tell you.
segregation.
Yeah,
Yes,
but there
yes,
is a very
correct.
interesting thing. When I lost my husband, a
Yes.
very close friend of his rang me up a couple of days after, and he said, Sesh, I want to tell you something. I said, what? He said, look, Neelakshi, that's his wife, she had passed away about 5, 6 years back. And
All
at that
right.
time, he told me, Sesh, every evening I go into the garden after the children have slept, grown up children. He says, I can't cry in front of them. I go and cry every day in the garden for my wife.
Oh, devastating. How terrible is this?
What I feel is, look, the man had the guts to say, yes, I cry for my wife. So I think there is
Very
a
painful.
lot. Yeah, but man and woman are the same. We talk about equality, but yet we ourselves, even women, discriminate men. We
Oh, yes,
actually, if
they
you
do.
ask me, a
ये
woman is a
मर्द
woman's
नहीं है.
enemy. Yeah,
Yes,
my
yes,
husband
yes.
used to say a woman is a woman's enemy. That's very true. Most of the cunning,
Absolutely.
manipulations are done by women. So I
Yes,
think you
yes,
see,
absolutely.
so each situation varies from family to family, upbringing,
Yes,
their lifestyle. So many things come into play to answer your question. You see, that there are
yes,
many
yes,
factors.
absolutely.
And some face
Yes,
it bravely and stoically, others break down. And hats off to the people who take it bravely. But it doesn't
yes,
mean they are,
absolutely.
but they have their weaker moments. And it's those weaker moments, unfortunately, in today's world, where are we going to the shrinks? In the US, we go to psychiatrists, we go to babas, we go to people who can tell you the future, who is, no, let's be
Yes,
very honest. So
yes, yes, it's happening. Yes,
we are looking for solutions, Purnima, in our
absolutely.
own
Yes,
way to get over the psychological aspects and emotional
aspects, the trauma. Because
Yeah,
after all, there is a saying which goes like this: tough times do not last long, tough people do. And
yeah,
sometimes when people ask you, how can you be so strong? Well, as I said, being strong is the only option you have. You don't have
absolutely.
another option. You have to be strong. So, Shesh, my next question would be, a lot
Yeah.
of women in India, they don't take widowhood gracefully. I mean, society doesn't allow them to do it gracefully. They're not allowed to wear certain vibrant shades. They're not invited for all those, Karwa Chauth and Haldi Kumkum and all those events. And I think even after the social emancipation by Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Karve, and I think Pune, the cultural capital of India itself has produced so many social reformers. But despite all that, these widows are marginalized, victimized, traumatized, and again, they're in the fourth world, not accepted in the mainstream. I know I'm getting a little upset and aggressive, but it's so unpleasant. What can we do about it?
No, I will say it's like this. It is left to the individual woman how she wants to dress post her husband and how she
Exactly.
wants to live. Does she want to go back to her profession or does she want to change her profession? Because I know
Right.
one lady, Dr. Shama Barnabas, I don't mind quoting her name, she was in NCL as a scientist and her husband
Okay.
was the
National
deputy
Chemical Laboratories. Okay.
director.
NCL, dear viewers, is National Chemical Laboratories.
Yeah. Now she told me when she lost John, her husband, she says the same people I used to day in and out, day out talk to them, and we were, buddies saying hi there, hi, first names and all. Same people they were withdrawing from me. They felt, I don't know whether it is the wives or who it is who keeps, as though she's going to just literally snatch the man away from the wife or whatever it is. So I really feel that it is up to the woman to fight these distinctions and
Absolutely.
differentiations which are there.
Yes.
If
Yes.
yeah, see
Yes.
now I should do personally, everyone where I live, they say drop in anytime you like. You can do what you come over, your family to us and all, right? But after
Yes.
7:38, everyone has their life. So I think a second time before going over when the whole family
Such
is
a
together.
Kharat situation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is a change is definitely there and we shouldn't blame anyone for it. And if you feel
Yes.
so strongly in your own house, go and put on the all the signs of marriage, enjoy yourself, but don't have to make it an issue in society. And let's be
Yes.
pleasant to them and say, okay, I respect your wishes. Haldi kumkum, you don't want me to come, it's fine. I have been
It's
invited, they give me the gifts, they give me the gifts and everything, but they do not give
yes.
the kumkum. I'm okay with it.
Right.
Initially I used to
Yeah.
cry, my God, I've come to this state because of this, because of that. Today I say,
Yes.
okay, there's a choice, you see. So I think it's left to an individual, and we should thank our stars we are living today. Look at the era when widows and all used to live, where they were forced to wear only white.
No, they were asked to shave off their heads and
Yeah,
whatnot. It was
yeah,
so cruel.
and they were
We've seen
ostracized.
Deepa Mehta's water. It's so painful. Yeah.
And they are ostracized in society. You see, if they break
Yes.
the law. For example, my husband's elder sister, aunt, my mother in law's elder sister, she was widowed at 11 or 12. Exceptionally good family. They wanted to her to shave her head. The father stepped in and said, no, you will not. The barber came and all the ritual. Then he said, nothing doing because she was crying, Papa, I don't want my hair to be cut. And they were ostracized for 10 years after that for breaking the norm
Yes.
of society. But he
Breaking the
was a
norms
bold
of
man.
not conforming.
Yeah. And she studied
Yeah.
and she became a headmistress of schools and all that. And she was
Wonderful.
she wore the pants in the house. She took care of the properties, everything. But it's a rare case. It's not common.
It's a rare case, but then I think we should emulate this example, stand up for ourselves, and not
Absolutely.
just crib and complain. Because
Yeah.
nothing is going to happen if we just crib and complain about it. We need to stand up, we need to talk about it, we need to communicate with the right people and
Right.
be the change. Be the
That's
change. Bring
right.
in that metamorphosis. I think that's required. Shesh, my next question is a little different. Many people prefer being single, but they
Mm-hmm.
are constantly labeled, and they face questions like, hey, are you gay, are you a lesbian, do you have erectile dysfunction issues, why aren't you getting married, because marriage is considered to be such a sacrosanct institution that everyone out of obligation or out of compulsion is dragged into it. But I've seen a lot of single people who are happy being single,
Yeah.
and they also opine that we don't have to indulge in marriage in order to indulge in sex. So we do have options. So I know it's a bold question, but then as we call it boggling conversations, and I know you don't evade these kind of questions, I would like
Yeah.
to. So I'm
Okay.
intrigued to know more about this.
Okay. Coming to the, you see, this third gender issue. Third gender is not really alien to India. If you remember, the eunuchs were always in the royal court and they were a safe bid in the janana. So it's not that we were not
Hmm.
aware. And actually, socially, we were aware of all these things, but we chose to somehow marginalize them. And they were forced to just go and dance and sing and pick up some money when a son is born in the house, when a daughter is born in
Yes,
the house,
yes.
and so on and so forth. But now I have heard Dr. Lakshmi Tripathi, or Trivedi, sorry, who is champion
Trivedi,
of
Trivedi.
Trivedi, yeah. So I
Yes.
had met her in person and she had talked to us. Now, when you look at their life, it's so miserable, it's so terrible, and it's a long journey that they are fighting. And then when I was in Canada, we were having a discussion over dinner, and one gentleman was the principal of a boys' school of 1,000 students, and his wife were there, and we had another couple, my daughter and myself. We were talking, and somehow the conversation veered towards the third gender, and
Correct.
the women, of course, started saying, no, no, we have to still, how can we allow our children? Acceptance is so difficult, this, that. Then this gentleman only said one thing. Was it their fault? Was it their parents' fault? If you had a son like this, would you throw him out of the house or would you have been kind to
Exactly.
him? So,
Exactly. That's the point.
so that's what he said. And of course, all three women very sheepishly then said, okay, I think what you say is right. Get people to accept them into the mainstream of society
Of
rather than fight.
society.
And a lot of
Yes.
plays and songs and movies are being brought on this. If you remember the Earth, the movie Earth, where I think Shabana
Earth.
Azmi,
Yes, yes. 1947 Earth. Yes, yes.
you see, so now we find a lot of change is coming about through
Yes.
education. And education is the only thing I feel which will allow people to evolve, to understand other human beings and their compulsions, and try to live. See, we are divided in so many things today: religion, politics, everything. And this is one
It's all
more reason.
discriminatory
Yeah,
politics.
and this
Discriminatory politics.
absolutely. And we are here with one more issue. We want to make a big, uh, you know, they want to make an issue out of everything. All right,
Yes.
they're fighting
Blow
for a
things out of
man.
proportion.
Yeah,
Yes.
so legal
And
marriage, you see, for them.
yes.
You know something? I had another interesting. My granddaughter was 2 or 2.5 years old, and we
Right.
were to look for houses in Canada. We were looking for a rented accommodation. We went, we
Okay.
loved the house. My son in law said, Ma, what do you think of this house and all? I said, looks great. Take it. It's got an independent yard and the child can play. Then quietly, the Chinese owner of that house tells me everything is fine, but there are two ladies living downstairs. They are lesbians. And be careful,
Oh
don't
my
go down
God.
over there.
Oh,
Don't go
okay.
down. So my daughter told me, yes, we'll take the house, ma, but make sure she never goes down, she never sees them. But they were very friendly to her because they loved that child, you see, they're my granddaughter. They were very nice.
Absolutely.
But I was all the time in a trauma. What would happen? What would my daughter say tomorrow if something happened, untoward happened? So you see, there are
Correct.
two sides to the coin, and time alone will evolve this.
Yes, yes. I'm glad you said this, and I think it's very important. Sesh, you traveled widely, and I think that gave you the right kind of exposure. You were exposed to so many cultures, so you were not shocked that, hey, what is lesbianism? How can
Yeah,
this, guy be gay? So you were not shocked, you were not bewildered or astounded that this is not our culture. So I think traveling does that to you. It enhances you, widen your horizons, and you also
definitely.
empower yourself in myriad of
That's
ways.
true. Yeah. And you see
Uh,
what happens, kind of people your children introduce you to all you when you go to their
yes.
homes makes a lot of difference.
Yes,
Makes
yes, absolutely, absolutely. You must have also come across, youngsters who would tell you, Sesh, marriage is a dead concept. Who is getting married? Come on, let me be in a live-in relationship or something. I'm happy being single. So, what is your take on this? Do you accept marriage as a dead concept? Because, I talk to a lot of younger students and they keep, they come up with a refreshing views that marriage, hey, it's a dead concept. Who gets married these days? So I was wondering, I mean, what does your generation,
I
how
think
does
the
your generation look at it?
yeah. If you ask me, the institution of marriage is a beautiful one, provided two right people come together and they make a
Right.
go of them. You have to work towards your marriage. You cannot
Yes,
expect, live happily ever after. That is a myth. It doesn't happen.
it
We
is.
all know
Yes.
that very well. But again, you see,
Yes.
what there was a girl, I had gone for an exports meeting in Toronto with my son in law. And it was very
Right.
interesting. I was sitting next to a young girl who was about 20 years younger to me. And
Okay.
she said, she was talking about her boyfriend and a living in relationship she was having with him and all that.
Huh,
And she said,
huh.
oh, we divide everything and things are great. So I said, lovely. I said, because of course, I was not into this concept that much, because in India it was still
Right.
not very prevalent,
Not
Today it is, but it
acceptable.
was not.
Yeah.
But at that time,
Yes.
it was not acceptable in India. But
Yes.
I'm not a prude, but still, it's very difficult to accept certain things. This girl turns
Right.
around and says, I want to ask you a question. I said, what?
Mm.
She says, my boyfriend is saying we should marry. Should I get married? When you ask me this question, this is the answer I have. So I told her, if you're comfortably off for 10 years or 7 years you've been living with him, continue the same. Why are you going into the institution of marriage with so much of misgivings, actually speaking?
Which binds
Yeah.
you. Yes,
But
yes,
then
yes,
she
correct.
said, no, but what about the kids, and if you want to have children, it should be. I said, look, you can't have the cake and eat it too. So think twice.
Absolutely.
And I said, but she said, then I'll get bogged down as like any other woman. I have to attend to the home, I have to take care of the kids, plus go for work. I said, look, it's a package deal. Marriage is a package deal, and you better
Of
accept
course.
it. And you see,
Yes.
and it is for you. I'm not saying this. There are many single people, I'm sure, in our audience today, and they may be having different thoughts on this. But I would say it's very unfortunate when marriages don't work out. It is very sad. We
Yes.
have to move on. We have to move on. There is no other alternative.
Lalita, Shesh, our friend Lalita is here and she's liking the questions and she thinks that the questions are interesting. I'm so glad that Lalita is in this show and she's appreciating it. I'm so grateful to each and every viewer present here because these are extremely important discussions and they require quite a bit of mind churning. And as Shesh, you rightly said, it's better to split the blanket than to survive vicissitudes and this bitterness on everyday basis. It's better to split the blanket. If marriage doesn't work, what do you think? Why so many divorces and why so many fractured marriages in society? Has our tolerance level decreased, or women have become independent and free spirited, and they don't
Uh,
want to give in to the forces of oppression?
I have an interesting take on this because I've been teaching in colleges, MBAs, you see, students. I have been
Uh-huh.
teaching for a long
Yes,
time.
yes,
And
yes,
so I've seen all the affairs which kids had, then they got married, they broke up,
yes,
and so on
yes.
and so forth. It's very sad when a marriage breaks, there's no doubt about it. But it is a better alternative for the children as well as for yourself, because you have your space and you feel.
Yes.
But it is not an answer to everything. And what I feel sad is I know a lot of young girls who say, never again, I don't want to marry a second time, because once bitten, twice shy. So
Yes.
it leaves
Yes.
terrible scars, you see, no doubt about it. And the woman
Yes.
takes on more than she can bite, you see, when you have to bring up your child or children. It's not easy. Let me be very honest. And
It is
the
not easy.
challenges are too many. Particularly, you become
Yeah.
answerable to the children for the parents' actions.
And
And who is
you
good?
actually compel them to choose between the father and the mother. It's a very difficult choice for a kid.
Yeah.
It is a very
I,
difficult choice.
Yeah, they want both parents basically. That is the whole problem.
Yeah.
And this does
Yes.
not, of course, you have there are people who are very, very accommodating, and they do sort of where the kids are concerned. And for the kids' sake, they put up an excellent front, give them the right
Yes.
values, and so on. So I
They
don't,
befriend each other. They
yeah,
befriend each other. Even after divorce, we can
yeah,
be, best of friends, only for the kids. So
yeah.
I think, that's really important. Sesh, my next question is a little personal, but I think, our viewers would like to know. I mean, you lost your husband at a tender age, I guess, and then
No, 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 not
how
a
did
tender
your,
age.
how did
No, not a
well,
tender
age
age.
is just age is just a number. Let me put it this way. But when you lost your husband, how did your life change, and did you get judged by the society? Were people
No,
prejudiced against you?
not by society at all. I think
Okay,
they either they were too kind to me or they dare not or whatever it is, because I've been fairly well known in some areas. But
correct.
but I did find I was totally shattered, because there was you see, it was so sudden, his going away. My one regret was I wish I was in the hospital when he had gone. My daughter was there, son-in-law was there. Unfortunately, I thought I would go in the afternoon and take the lunch
Right.
and all. Trying to be the good wife rather than be there with him. So that's very
Yes.
sad. But it's very difficult to come to terms because you feel financially insecure. I had money, but I didn't know, would I be able to handle the money? Would I be able to handle the social aspect of not having a marriage? The establishment, whether it is worth continuing, and how would my friends take it? Would I be welcome socially? And let me be, and the
So
icing
many
on
questions lingering in the mind.
yeah,
So many
and the icing
questions.
on the cake is COVID, where I can't even visit my friends. So you won't believe it. I live all alone in an independent bungalow in a beautiful society. But now I live all alone means what? From me, a person who would read, who does, I don't feel like doing anything. And that's how this book came about, actually. Because I'd lie in bed for hours together thinking. And then I think you wanted to ask this question, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, I
about.
did. I did.
So you see, what has happened is when I was lying down, I was contemplating: is a young widow better off than an older widow? Is a young widower better off than an older widower? Divorces
Correct.
again. At what stage should you divorce, if at all you should? After the children have grown up, or is it later on? I mean, much earlier. So are you being self-centered if you are asking for a divorce at a young age? So all these questions come up and came to my mind. I said, look, do women and men behave in the same way? Do they have the same concerns when they become single for the same reasons? And I came to the conclusion a young widow is better off than an older widow. The reason is, you will laugh. A young widow has got to bring up the children. She has to go for financially, she has to take care of the security because the children are growing up. She's occupied so much in that the husband goes into the background. Whereas in my case, because even the grandchildren have grown up now, so I found it very difficult to come to terms of being single because both of us were together for many years.
Yes. Sesh, are you?
Yeah,
So here we are.
yeah.
My
You want me to repeat a
No,
part?
she's not audible. Shesh, you're not audible.
Yeah. Really? But why? Now, can you hear me?
Uh,
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you at all.
Oh my God, now what's happened?
I can't hear you, Shesh.
Can you ask your friend who is doing it to see if it is from his end?
We can hear. I see. Okay, but I am not able to hear. Uh,
Okay.
Shesh, my next question is a little complicated. And I
Okay.
really don't know what your answer will be, but then I have realized that a lot of single mothers become pathetic mother-in-laws because they suffer from Oedipus complex. I think D.H. Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken, takes up this issue, Oedipus complex, in his landmark novel Sons and Lovers, which
Yeah.
became a landmark novel because of Sigmund Freud, who did a psychoanalysis, and he realized that I'm not talking crap. This is what happens when single mothers have fractured marriages, and they transfigure their affections. They transfer all the affection from the husband to the children, and sometimes mother fixation actually spoils a child's life, the son's life. It completely ruins their marriage. So what is your take on this, Sage?
Because I've had an exceptionally happy marriage, I think the institution of marriage should not die out. But on the other hand, I feel if a marriage is not working, they should come out of it and rebuild their life. Maybe life gives you a second chance and so on. But living single
Correct.
has its own problem because a woman becomes very vulnerable the minute she's divorced. She's a widow, particularly young. So, and society is not kind to you at all. And literally, they're like vultures, very often.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
so of course, a man is a protection. But on the other hand, if we don't have to fret about it. But certainly, I feel if a person can find the right person, one should remarry.
Hmm.
Because I
Right.
have a friend in
Okay.
Pune. She lost her
Yes.
husband. She lost her husband. She found an excellent man who really loved her,
Hmm.
but she chose on a living in relationship rather than marriage. And she's
That's
happy
fine.
enough.
That's
And
fine.
she's happy enough. So
Yes.
I two people coming together and being happy is important. Whether it's the institution of marriage it gets wiped out or it continues, I'm not worried about that. What I'm more worried is two people should learn, whether it's living in, whether it is marriage or being single, being happy is most important. Be happy with your choices which you make. That is exceptionally paramount in my mind. And also, with all due respect to the younger generation, I feel they're more self centered because economic independence has done them a lot of good and a lot of harm also.
Very true. You're absolutely right, Shesh. I think your observations, you talk from experience, and your explanation, your elucidation, it's very well exemplified. Because I'm
Thank you so
sure
much.
our viewers are asking a lot of questions and they're commenting. So I promise the viewers that we will definitely, Shesh, madam, and I will answer your queries. Okay, we will be more than happy to answer your queries because they're loving this debate. Our viewers are so involved and we deeply appreciate them because what will the speakers do without the audience? So we love you, dear viewers. Okay,
Yeah.
so my next question is a little interesting. A divorcee situation is quite different from a widow's or a widower's situation because in case of
Right.
a divorcee, she has left her partner by choice. And in
Yeah.
case of a widow and a widower, she doesn't want to lose her partner. I mean, there is a void which cannot be filled. She's actually bereaving her husband's loss, or maybe the man is bereaving his wife's loss. So I think there is a difference between the two single situations. Could you please elaborate and elucidate, in what way the situation is different and how does it impact their life?
You mean for a man and a woman?
For a
what
man, not just for a man, for a divorcee and for a widow and a widower.
either way, I mean, both ways they become single. And so you're saying, what is their life like? Let me be very
But
honest.
still, the situation is completely different.
Situation is different. I don't
The
see.
situation is completely different because one doesn't want the partner at all, and the other one has lost the partnership bereaving. So there is a
Right.
difference.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can give you an example. My own father, he lost his first wife, and
Correct.
he was shattered. She died of tuberculosis when this I'm talking about 1942 or so, and
Correct.
um, and he didn't want to remarry. I'm just being very honest with you. He was not. But my grandfather, because my brother was there, who was 3 years old or so at that time, and he was being taken care of by the family when she was in a sanatorium. So,
Correct. Oh my
so
God.
my grandfather was very practical that my father should remarry because who will look
Mm-hmm.
after this boy? Because my chacha, bhua, all these people, how long can they look after? So I mean, I appreciate my grandfather, but my father was adamant, and my grandfather, being a dictator and an autocrat, said, "I won't see your face if you don't remarry." So, anyways, matches came, and my mother's, but my father was not happy even with that match.
Oh my God,
Anyway,
what a Hitlerite figure. What a
no, no, no.
Hitlerite figure.
But the thing was, because he was trying to escape the situation of remarriage, my father.
Yes,
He was
yes,
not looking
yes.
at the practical life. And believe me, my parents, after my mother got married, and my brothers, I think, with all due respects, they have been excellent stepmother, stepson. I think the
Mm-hmm.
stepson, I mean, there were no issues on that.
That is
But what
very rare.
But my father never forgot his first wife. Never. And he would keep on in conversation, generally saying, that she was an excellent wife to me. I'm sure my mother must have thought, my God, why am I here if he is to all the time praise her? But also it took it in the right spirit. She said, it's her blessings that I'm living with so much of happiness. So you see, now
Correct.
when I look at that, but my father showed what a man can be when he's lost his wife. And he could never forget
Correct.
her. See, so what
Yes,
I'm saying is a
yes.
man
So
can go through
by nature, he was not polygamous that he wanted to, like marry someone for
exactly.
sex. He
Yeah,
genuinely loved his wife. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
you see what I'm trying. And his wife was, I believe, my stepmother was wonderful. She said, I know you will have to remarry. Why don't you remarry when I'm alive? I'll know who's going to look after my son. Then my father said, what nonsense are you talking? So anyway, so what I'm coming to is a man and a woman cannot be discriminated in grief, be it death, be it divorce. They feel as
Yes.
strongly. They feel victimized. But sometimes some take it out by being cruel, and some are still kind and part as friends. So I think it's our human nature. And if we
It's
can make it,
human nature.
and we should
Yes,
try
yes.
to be as, see, the idea is human beings have a right to happiness. And
Oh, yes.
if a marriage is making you unhappy, divorce is an excellent answer. But
Yes.
the
True.
responsibilities of a divorce must be accepted and carried on with all humility. Otherwise, like I'm dead against people saying we don't want children, we don't want this, we don't want that. To be very honest, what
Yes,
will
they're
happen to the
happy being
world?
miserable. It may be a
Yeah,
paradoxical statement, but some people are happy being miserable. That's the way I look at it. It's very saddening and disheartening.
yeah.
Seish, you're absent. I can't stop heaping encomiums on you, and I'm totally absorbed in this discussion. And my next question is a little. I think it's going to be riveting for the viewers as well.
Mhm.
See, remarriage is encouraged in the society now. Okay, yes, we have accepted that change gracefully, and people are accepting it. But is companionship accepted? Because there are a lot of people who don't want to get married, but they just want a companion to hold on to. And I think that's a wonderful thing as long as you have someone to share your life with. It's so
Yeah,
therapeutic. It's so
true.
therapeutic to have a companion. So I know I'm probably asking and answering the question, but I want your opinion on this.
See, I believe everyone should have a friend, should have a mentor. should have someone where you can go with your
Correct.
problems too. And you should, and that's a great thing.
Yes.
But if the man is going to misuse that friendship and thrust himself
Yes.
on you, that is not acceptable. If he's going to blackmail, then you might as well sort your own problems out. Because I have noticed one thing,
Right.
the male point of view is as important as the female point of view. If I go to a female
Absolutely.
friend,
It
if
is.
I come to you today, you will give me the same point of view which I am a party to, convinced about. But a male a male point of view, when we hear, then it's more balanced. So I do feel, and I'm open to friendships. But if a woman wants, says, lay off, keep out of my life, but be a good friend to me. Let me share my problems with you. If I know it's an idealistic picture, but if it were possible,
It's utopian because a man, also wants sex along with friendship. It's
yeah,
not, he doesn't want to restrict his relationship there because
yeah, right,
ultimately males are programmed in that manner. So apart
yeah.
from friendship, he would want a physical contact, and maybe the woman is not ready for it, or she doesn't want the friendship because it makes her uncomfortable and claustrophobic. So I think
But
this is another problem
no,
which women don't talk about. I think this is something
yeah,
really
but
important.
but on the other hand, I would like to add over here that first, if it could be at the friendship level, and
Yes.
genuinely want each other's welfare, and with time, if they feel sexually
Yes, if they
compatible, if
consent.
they are
Yes, yes,
compatible,
yes.
and they feel
Compatible.
yes, they can, why not? Of course they can get married or even have a living in relationship. It's perfect, it's okay, it's natural, there's nothing wrong with it. But I would say, do not make the woman feel without sex there is no friendship. That is something I
Exactly.
think.
Like the platonic love that we talk
Yeah,
about. We need to
yeah.
prove that ultimately Draupadis and Krishnas do exist in this world. Platonic relationship, does exist in this world. But tell me something, Shesh, after 50 and 60, when you lose your partner, you need sex, friendship, or marriage. What are people looking for?
I
Are
think
they
it's
looking for
companionship.
sex? Are they? It's
No, I think
companionship. Yes.
you
Okay.
see, we've had all the fun when you're young and all that. Then you go through with the
Yes.
common problems of children
It's
growing up.
more of an emotional connect, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the physical goes a little more into the background, but the couple remain a very strong bond they have. Okay, there is romance in the air. I'm not saying it's not there. But you see,
Yes.
it's not the center around which your marriage lasts in the latter part of your life.
Exactly.
So
It goes beyond the physical, of course.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it's fine. You see, if on an anniversary you celebrate and after that you feel okay, it's all right. But you have a good. Here, I'll tell you something. The other day I was reading, and everyone will find it very interesting. I believe a man was standing in a queue for a medical appointment in the US. This happened over there,
Yes.
and he wanted an out of turn meeting, and he asked the
Okay.
doctor that can I break the queue and come and meet? He said, anything? He said, yeah, I've got a meeting at 8 o'clock. I said, okay, come in. And then he said, what was so important? Are you going for a meeting, a board meeting? Are you going? He says, no, I'm going home to my wife because we have breakfast every day at 8 o'clock. So he said, if it's only the wife, you could easily have rung her up and told her you'll get late. He said, she's got Alzheimer's and I cannot break that
Oh,
commitment to her of going and having breakfast at 8 o'clock. So what I'm saying is
how
this is
sweet is
marriage.
that?
This is marriage. I'm not saying it's idealistic, it is the answer, not at all. Because I've gone through it all. I know what it is to be single. I know what it is to have and I've seen my brother divorced. I've seen my elder daughter divorced. So I've gone through all the things that we are talking about.
The,
That's why I
the,
think I
the
feel very
pains and
passionate.
pangs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel
Yes.
very
Yes.
passionate about it. You see, that we get one life to live. Let's live
Yes.
it the way we want to live as best as we can. That is my take.
Absolutely. And we live on our, terms and conditions so that there is no repentance in life. And the thing is, as Akshay Kumar says in Toilet Ek Prem Katha, ye desh ki, if I talk about India, I would say देश की सोच को बदलना बहुत मुश्किल है लेकिन वो सोच अगर हम बदल सके तो हमें सोसाइटी की परवाह करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Society will
No,
automatically respect your space. I think
बिल्कुल.
your space is being trampled upon and intruded upon. And a lot of people, a lot of women who tell me, Purnima, I'm getting judged. Log kya kahenge? This is a cliched and stereotypical remark that I've heard from women. Log kya kahenge? They're more concerned about what people would say, how people would react. It's very, very painful, and this gives me excruciating pain.
No, I don't think so. You know something? But I used to, my in-laws came from a small place in Andhra Pradesh, Rajahmundry.
Correct.
But it is the cultural center of Andhra. And they were a very, outgoing, very, very forward-thinking family, my in-laws family.
Correct.
But they
Okay.
wouldn't, but society over there would not accept sleeveless trousers, salwar kameezes, and all that. And so my
Okay.
father-in-law said, "You wear what you like." But I realized my mother-in-law would be the laughing stock after I had left, because we went only on leave for 3 weeks, 1 month. After that, she would
Correct.
be the brunt of all my activities, way of dressing, talking, and so on. So I decided, no, it's not fair to her. If 1 month in the year I don't wear trousers or I don't wear, sleeveless, the world is not going to end. But let me make her happy. And believe me, and when they came to us, I wore everything and they accepted it. And so much so, I have short hair. And my father-in-law asked, "Why is your hair grown? Why don't you go and have a haircut?" It had come to that stage, you see. So I think adjustment is something we are lacking today.
Yes. I think there was a glitch. Sorry for that. There was a glitch. Yes.
So I think the key word is adjustment. Space is a
Yes.
very nice word. Self-centeredness is desirable in certain areas. But I think giving still has a very big role in the peace of this world, in our society.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right, Sesh. In fact, I feel very bad for single males because
Hmm.
most of the times maids, refuse to work in their
Yeah,
homes, and they are always labeled as prospective rapists. Because women
yeah,
assume that if you go to a male in a house,
yeah,
you're likely to get raped because he must be lusty, and maybe
yeah.
they do not look at the males in the right perspective. So this has
Yeah.
also disturbed me quite often because we talk about women empowerment and emancipation of women, but most of the times the males also get marginalized, the single males especially. So can we have
But, but the other way around is there are many maids and women who throw themselves at that man, and then yeah, and then after that, what do you
yes.
think? And they want to extract money out of the man. Don't you think that's equally bad and sad?
Yes, that
So
that is
man
that
is
is
not
very
always
sad.
a rapist. I think we have to give the men their due. They are not always anti-women. They are, you see, I
Absolutely.
think, I mean, if whatever I am today, let me be very honest, is because the opportunities my husband gave me most
Correct.
voluntarily and felt proud in
Correct.
every success of mine. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been what I am today. So I think, I
Yes.
mean, there are good men, there are bad men, there are good women, there are bad women. Let's
There
accept
are all
that.
kinds of, yes, absolutely, all kinds of, there are all kinds of transgender, all kinds of women, and all
Yeah,
kinds of men. So these are not watertight compartments. And it's high
yeah.
time that the society, does some research on this and actually breaks these barriers. Because I do not agree with the word feminism and this because it's totally
Mm.
misinterpreted. All we need is, we need to overcome gender bias in order to have a wholesome society. So it's very painful when you oppressed me in the past, so now I'm going to oppress you because we are oppressed, repressed, depressed, suppressed, and whatnot. It's very, very chaotic out there. So I think it's high time that we enhance and we widen our horizons there. Seesh, at
No,
the beginning
Purnima.
of the talk, yes,
Yeah, I have one thing to say over here. Research gives you statistics.
yes,
Research does not give you the road ahead. If you ask me, The problem is the man has not developed as fast socially as a woman. The woman's change and transformation has been by leaps and bounds, whereas the man's has
Correct.
not been. So till
Hmm.
we come to some kind of closing that gap, these differences will be there. But then men have changed. Tell me, compared to your father's generation, your grandfather's generation, your husband must be a totally different person who participates in the house and takes
Different person.
helps you.
Oh,
So you see,
yes.
this is the beginning of the change, and it will happen. We can't do it by war, by words, by social ostracization and so on. The answer doesn't lie in that. The answer lies in each one putting their best foot forward and trying to be good to human beings who are single for whatever reason, and appreciating them for what they are, and leave them alone. Don't lecture them and teach them why they're wrong. Like
And don't
why
evangelize, don't preach. Yes.
yeah, they ask the men, why is he important?
Don't
Why didn't
preach.
he get married? Come on, poor guy, given he wants to be alone and he wants to be single, why not? It's not a crime. But society, the women will say, get him married. What does he lack? He's got money, he's got this, he's got a good job. So
Yes,
that give that
absolutely.
space
I
and the
totally,
freedom to make your decisions. If you ask me personally, I would
yes,
get
yes,
married
totally.
all over again. Marriage is my choice.
Very true, very true. Shesh, at the beginning of the talk, you mentioned that boys are not allowed to shed tears. Boys are not allowed to cry. But when boys cry, I absolutely love them. I mean, they look
Of
so
course.
adorable and they look
Yeah.
so cute when they cry. And I would love to be with a boy who's sensitive. What is your opinion about it? Why is it a stigma for a man to shed tears? Isn't it sad? What is your view on feminists who are male man haters? Okay, Lalita has a very important query. What is your view on feminists who are man haters? Okay, there are some feminazis. Lalita, I would love to answer your question. They are not feminists, they are feminazis because they believe in a totalitarian, think approach that we are the monarchs of all we survey, and
Yeah.
we are probably the ultimate soul. So that attitude is not going to help. It's not going to
Yeah.
work. Yeah. Over to Shesh.
Um, See, this, frankly speaking, I'm not in favor. Yeah, fight for your rights, but don't have to label it as being a feminist, being this, being that, and dress in a way to defy society and all that. That's not the answer. The answer is do what you like, but do not have to all the time be defiant in society to prove your point. That is
I
what
think
I feel.
Rasika Gupte has something very interesting. In such debates, males shun themselves in participating. But in fact, that's the need of the hour. We totally agree with you, Rasika
What
Gupte.
a pity!
Uh,
What
uh,
a pity! What a
yes,
pity
it
that
is
you
a
not.
pity.
Why should
They
they
do not wish to
stop?
participate in this. Oh my God! I would want all the genders to participate in our debates and our boggling conversations. Gender is no bar when it comes to boggling conversations. So whether you're a male, female, transgender, please come and attend
Yeah,
the session, because you will definitely get something to you
something
will
to
give you
take
will
away.
have gifts. We don't have gift hampers here, but we will definitely give you something which will remain etched in your memory.
There's something to see. Let's look at today's Ram Navami. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not. I'm spiritual, but I'm not ritualistic. Let's be very honest.
Ritualistic. So am I. Yes.
But let me tell you, today Sri Ram symbolize and Sita. Sita is supposed to be the stronger of the two, Rama and Sita, and she's supposed to be
Yes.
an emancipated woman by the standards of those days. Now, she had the guts to
Yes.
stay alone and so on, and she was separated. It could be like a divorce. People forget
Yes.
Rama cried for Sita and missed her as much as she did. He was alone, single, he was loyal to her, and that's why he's called Purushottam Ram. See, there's a lot to learn from our epics. But you take Mahabharata on the other hand, you see, men and women are more like today's men and women. They are not idealistic. They all had faults. They made mistakes. They paid for their mistakes very heavily and so
Absolutely.
on. So I think we have a terrible society for some things, but we have an excellent,
Yes.
you know, past, let's say, of mythology.
Well, Sage, I would just go to the extent of saying how many males like Maryada Purushottams would actually go and face the enemy in order to, retrieve, your wives.
Right,
They would be
exactly.
like, oh my God, Lord knows where she would be. She must have gone married and settled. I
Yeah,
will also do
exactly.
the same thing. Who
Yeah,
is going to take the
exactly.
pains of. So I think, that was Treta Yuga. So
Yeah,
Kaliyuga cannot be compared to, Treta Yuga. I think Dwapar is more relatable as compared to
yeah.
Treta
But
Yuga
look
when
at
it comes
Draupadi,
to.
what a strong woman she was.
Oh, yes. Shesh, we have just a few seconds left. So
Yeah.
my next question has to be answered, very, very precisely. So in
Okay.
this pandemic situation, a lot of single parents are abandoned by their children. So how are they coping with this, pandemic situation?
I really don't
How
know. To
are
be
they coping with,
who the parents?
because it is so sad when parents are abandoned at the airport, and children are just not bothered about their single parents. It's very, very saddening.
And you see, the only thing is society, good friends, and people and organizations should rally around that person and make them
Yes,
feel they're wanted in society. If your children ditch you, doesn't matter. We are there for you. The minute you say that, your life becomes richer. After all, you don't have to have only biological children to look after you. There's so many, and
absolutely.
believe me, there are young children. I'll tell you about COVID. My younger daughter in Pune lost her neighbor the other day to COVID. She's 51 years old. Can you imagine the
Right.
situation? The husband was also down in the ICU when the wife passed away in the ICU, and
Oh
the
my
son
God.
the son is in Germany, and the daughter was at home. She's 23, and she had COVID, and she was quarantined. Now, can you imagine? Well, who would come? My daughter went, got the death certificate, went for the passes and so on, at the crematorium and all. Who would do it? Now, I can say, look, your life is more precious, forget all this. But I think being human and looking after fellow humans, and God will bless you then. He's not going to take you away just
Absolutely. That
because you
is our
help.
good karma. Yes, absolutely, Sesh.
Because
Uh,
this, we have to help each other. That's what I'm coming to.
yes,
If the
yes.
parents, the children ditch you, doesn't matter. You be their children and look after them.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Shesh. I think we
When
are
my
running
daughter,
short of time. So, I think you answered all the questions satisfactorily, and
thank
you've
you.
been an amazing, amazing guest. So I'm very grateful to you. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, Shesh, and I'm sure we are going to come up with an excellent anthology. I would just tell my viewers, ये वक्त न ठहरा है, ये वक्त न ठहरेगा, वो दिन भी गुजर जाएगा, घबराना कैसा, हिम्मत से काम लेंगे, घबराना कैसा. And yes, I'm going to be back on the same channel, Rivers, with Boggling Conversations. I hope you enjoyed the show, dear viewers. Good night, Shabakher.